All right. We've got Mitch McLain on the podcast today. Mitchell, thanks for being with us. Always good to see you. Good to talk to
Hey,
you.
Blake. Thanks for having me. This is cool. I like that you're doing this.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's nice that I have a couple of close friends to help me get this thing started. But Mitch McLain of the Milwaukee Admirals, we're going to kind of start at the beginning, give you a chance to, kind of talk us through your youth, your high school days, into your time up in Langley and Bowling Green, and then with Iowa, and of course now with Milwaukee. So we'll just kind of start at the beginning. What made you want to be a hockey player?
Yeah, it's crazy. My mom, not really athletic background, and my dad played college basketball. So not sure how we fell into hockey as a family, but it was just something I really wanted to do when I was younger. And as soon as I got the skates on, I didn't want to stop. And I kind of had that love, still do, I guess, still have that love, excited to go to the rink every day. So I've been fortunate enough to love what I do and be able to do it for a long time so far.
Yeah, certainly a lot of hard work has gone into that. I know, obviously, at your time at Brainerd High School, you guys had some pretty good teams, a lot of good talent. Just kind of talk about how maybe that helped you progress uh, as a player.
Yeah, I mean, everyone always says what you do when no one's watching separates you, right? But I was fortunate enough to have about 7, 8 guys that were doing it when no one was watching, and I just think that community makes it a lot easier every day. And then you get top tier guys that play D1 hockey or win Stanley Cups like Josh Archibald did, and he was a couple years older than us, and just that role model, and then the guys from below pushing you, and then your age group pushing you. I think just the ability to go to the gym every day or go on the ice and either pick up things or teach things to people or just finding a way to help each other get to where you want to be, and then also not lose sight of that team goal. I think it was just a fortunate situation growing up, and I think if you asked anyone of that group, they'd all say the same thing.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of rare at that age for the group that you had, for as many guys to kind of understand that if we don't figure this thing out together, it's not going to work out for any of us individually. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And I
without a
think you
doubt.
guys had a really mature group, and I just think that's kind of a rare thing at that age. But um, so after high school, obviously a pretty successful career. Talk us through how you landed in the BCHL, if you would.
Yeah, kind of a crazy story. Vancouver, Canada is the BCHL area out west there, and I was playing in the Minnesota All-Star game for high school after the season, and Bobby Henderson from Langley, he was one of the guys watching the games and really liked my game. And when you grow up in Minnesota, you want to play in the USHL or the NAHL. You want to stick close to home, and you want to go to the University of Minnesota and play for the Gophers and all that stuff. But as you go through the process, you realize that there's just many journeys and different maps for everybody's career. And it was funny. The best advice I ever got was go with who asks you to the ball. Don't wait for the one that doesn't. And Bobby called me every single day, and he sold Langley to me. He told me how much he wanted me and how much he thought he could get me to D1. And those are just things like from a coach's standpoint, talking to a player, I mean, that's everything you want to hear, right? And I believed him. He sold it to me, and I was lucky that when I went there, he promised and he delivered. So it was pretty awesome that just out of nowhere, a guy from Vancouver, Canada wanted me to go play, and his interest level in me just after a couple times watching was pretty cool that it worked out the way it did.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And it's cool to hear you say, a guy that's at the level that you are now, to say um, that there are several different avenues to get to where you want to be, right? And I think, um, you know, some of the guys that I work with have a mindset of, okay, I got to do this, this, and this, in order to play Division I baseball or whatever it might be. And in reality, it's much more fluid than that, right? Like,
Oh, for
very
sure.
rarely is the path to success linear. You know, there's a lot of valleys and things of that nature.
And especially the guys that you're working with, and then like hockey. Like I think hockey is like such a unique scenario where you're not going to college 80% of the time as an 18-year-old, as a true freshman, and you get to go play juniors for 2 years. And then when you go to college, you're a 20, 21-year-old young man already instead of a kid still.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's such an advantage in hockey, or guys that come to you guys to play baseball and they get 2 extra years of college, yes, but to grow before they're ready to go to the next level where they're supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And people develop late. Not all the popcorn pops at the same time, right? And it's just one of those things where it's hard. It's hard when you're in the forest to see the path, but once you find the path and you're over the trees, like it's you can still get to the same spot. I mean, I think that's probably the single biggest thing I've learned in my pro career too, is that to be patient when you want it now. When I want my results now, I want everything
Yes.
right now, but there's a process to it. Not everybody gets it right now,
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And so if you said the word process there, the two big words that stood out to me, patience and process. Um, I've always tried to be more of a process oriented guy, like a systems oriented guy, not really worried too much about what lies ahead, but just trusting that if I'm doing things the right way on a daily basis, ultimately it'll work out. So what kind of things do you do on a daily basis to make sure you're staying in the moment, if that makes sense?
yeah, I think the one thing I really like to do, and I've started to do later here in my career, is I get to the rink early, whether that's practice or a game, and my thing's just have a coffee when I get there. But it's time to like decompress and appreciate what I'm doing. Whether I slept good or didn't sleep well. I know when I get to the rink and I have that coffee, that's my opportunity to decompress, appreciate where I am, and then change my mood to however I need to get through it or be a good teammate. And I think that's just something that really has centered me the last few years for sure. Versus when you get there late. I mean, some guys like getting there late and feeling rushed and like, let's just go, 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 go and get out of here.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like to get there early and appreciate what I'm doing. Maybe have some time to just decompress, from whatever it is, a
Yeah.
bad sleep or anxiety of just want to play well tonight. I'm excited to play and just kind of chill out and not round yourself up too much. So that's
Yeah.
just something I've done day to day.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, that's huge. A key to success is just having a ritual or a routine that kind of helps you get your mind right. Very, very good stuff. So kind of talk us through, obviously you spent two years there in Langley. And ultimately that led to you earning a spot on the roster at Bowling Green. So kind of talk us through that process. It's similar to the JUCO baseball route.
Yeah,
Kind of
for
talk
sure.
us through that, how that worked.
Yeah. So, I mean, when you're playing out there in junior, you got scouts coming to every game watching you play from colleges, right? And I was, again, like, you never know who's watching. You never know what relationships you're creating. Ty Eigner was the assistant coach at Bowling Green. And when we were growing up, Blake, he was the high school coach in Brainerd. So, I mean, he saw me when I was 5, 6, 7 years old, but he knew that I worked extremely hard and I loved being a hockey player at just a young age. So when he gets recruiting for Bowling Green and sees me in the BCHL and we have that relationship, it's easy for us to connect over something right away, right?
Yep.
And then he also has seen me grow up and he knows who I am, who my parents are, where I come from. And I think that just makes kind of like the process of going to the university and finding yourself in somewhere you want to be that much more enjoyable. And I think I got very lucky with that.
Yeah, that's a big thing that we talk about in our program too. Is you're kind of always being, I don't want to say watched. You're always being evaluated, right?
Always.
Like from what you do in the dorms or in your apartment, to what you do in the weight room, to what you do on the field, what you do in the classroom. I mean, the way you walk across campus, like all those things add up. And, like you said, you had a connection with Coach Eigner, and it, at some point down the road, if guys are doing things the right way on a daily basis, you never know when it's going to pay off for you, right? So that's kind of a big thing that we really try to emphasize is, being a part of our program might have a little more responsibility, but with that, there's going to be some reward too, because it kind of keeps you on the straight and narrow.
Yeah,
right.
For sure. And it's not to say that you aren't going to slip up one day and you aren't going to do something that you shouldn't have done, but you'll know if you do the right thing enough all the time, 90% of the time, when you do something that you shouldn't have done or something that wasn't part of the journey that's going to keep you in the right direction, and you feel it. Mm-hmm. And you don't let it happen again, the best to your ability. And that's the key, right?
Yeah.
That's the key to walking that line. You don't need to be perfect every time, but you better be perfect, darn near close to perfect,
Yeah. No, that's awesome stuff. Absolutely. So you're at Bowling Green. You're a freshman. You're 20 years old at this time, or are you still 19?
Yeah, 20 as a freshman.
20-year-old freshman. And obviously you're not alone in that. You got other guys on the team who have kind of gone through the same process. But just kind of talk us through your experience there at Bowling Green. I know you were named captain, I believe. Was it just for your senior year?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So kind of talk us through, how you developed into that role.
Yeah. So I think it's cool. You obviously have your leaders, your senior class, your upper class when you want to lead the way in college and stuff like that. But I think you have your age captains as well, right? So our freshman class, you knew instantly who the leaders were, right? Who was in the mix of that, who kind of carried themselves a different way, kind of just like felt that responsibility. And I was a captain in Langley both years I was there. So like it was not something that was forced. It was a natural thing. And I think when it's natural and you can just be yourself, I think that's when you lead the best, right? But I think that's a 4-year journey. I don't think you're just a captain or a leader your senior year. I think that's a development of 4 years of putting in the work, showing up, doing the right things, learning from older guys, giving advice to younger guys. I think that's a whole 4-year process. But especially in hockey, you get to wear that letter on your jersey, and everybody knows that you're the captain when you're playing. And I think that process, again, the process, but that whole journey to get to your senior year where you get to wear the letter and you finally get to show everyone who the captain is, I think it all works into one. So I think I think you can lead as a freshman. There's things you can do to lead as a freshman, right? And whether that's just being a rah-rah upbeat guy, that's still leading.
Yeah, absolutely. It absolutely ties together there. Like we talked about with, your goals as an athlete, it's delayed gratification, right? You got to continue to put the work in and trust that it's going to work out, even though you can't see, you don't know for sure what the result is going to be. And that's when somebody names you a captain of a team, that's why it's so special, because you're just, doing things the right way. That's probably not on your mind as a freshman. You're not thinking, oh, I want to be the captain my senior year. I'm just going about my business the right way every day. And ultimately everybody around me is going to be better because of that. They're going to notice that. And ultimately, it leads to the letter on the jersey, on the sweater.
Yeah. And I think, and just every captain I've had in growing up here, even, you can take something from every single one of them that you love and that why they're in that spot. And am I a good example? Am I going to always be as hard on guys or as demanding as someone like Josh Archibald was when we were younger? He was above and beyond his years with where the line was. Like, this is the line. But at the same time, that expectation, I've carried that with me all the way through. Like, here's the line, and we're pushing the line further. Like, we're not settling for less than the line, you know? And that was something I learned from an 18-year-old kid. And I mean, that's the reason he's a Stanley Cup champion. Like, it's hard to deal with when you're a 15, 16-year-old kid in high school playing with a guy who's already at that level of competition and wants to be. Like, when we're at work, you know? I think that was a cool lesson. And then anything in between you learn from guys, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. That culture of success just kind of, you know, it pushes everybody. You take a little bit from a guy like Matt Polkamp, a little bit from a guy like Josh Archibald, two very different people, right?
Yes.
It's, you know, like you said, you were in a really, really nice situation there with so many good guys and guys that just wanted to show up and compete every day. So
even our baseball group, I mean, we saw a lot of success playing a lot of baseball.
Yeah.
And while we knew we were good, and we knew that the guys on that group, your basketball guys, the hockey guys, the wrestlers, whoever we had, we were going to work and compete. We had a lot of fun. Like, that was a group that could have a lot of fun playing and still play well, you know? And that's something too. Like, if guys are better relaxed, maybe a relaxed culture where you don't have to hold everyone so accountable because they just do it themselves just by the work they do. Right. You can have fun. It can be relaxed, whereas sometimes it can't be. And that's something the group learns, right? That's just not a leader. That's a group learning that. So.
Yeah. And that's been part of a little bit of what I've struggled with this year is, you know, I'm a guy that shows up, like, I'm just happy to be coaching baseball every day. Like, I'm really happy that I'm not at my old job, you know, working 8 to 4 Monday through Friday. Like, I am so grateful to be where I'm at. But then there are times, you know, where, okay, yeah, we want to show up and we want to enjoy being at the field, but how do we balance that with getting our stuff done in the right manner too? You know, I don't know if you've been in any situations like that, but how do you kind of balance that? You know, like, yeah, you want to show up and have fun and enjoy it, but at the end of the day, you got to get it done too.
I truly believe that you have to set the standard of, this is just, we're going to work. No matter what happens this day, no matter how bad we feel, no matter how junky our test was, our girlfriend dumped us, when we're at baseball for 3 hours, 2 hours, we are going to work. Mm-hmm. And then when that becomes habit and it's an everyday thing and you never have to worry about the work, then the fun stuff happens, right? You get to have fun. You get to celebrate good plays in practice. You get to celebrate all kinds of stuff, guys' birthdays, but you don't lose focus on the stuff. And that's when all the cool things happen. When that standard of, no matter what we're doing today, we're going to work. We're going to be present. We're going to be good teammates. Well, that's just a no matter what, and that's a non-negotiable. Then you see teams really start to climb the ladder. So every good team I've been on, we've been able to just work. No, just workers, which has fit my style because I don't bring much other than work and maybe a couple jokes. So,
no, man, that is just really good stuff. Really, I'm really excited that we're able to share this with whoever chooses to listen. But that's really good stuff. So let's kind of pick it up. You know, your final year at Bowling Green. How did the process go? Because you landed in Des Moines, obviously, which was awesome for me as well. But kind of talk about that process of, like, becoming a pro. You know, like, your last year at Bowling Green, you're the captain of the team. Okay, you're a leader, got it. But there's got to be something that maybe in your mindset shifts a little bit when you say, okay, now I'm playing professional hockey. Or was there not? Maybe I'm wrong there.
It's funny, right? Because it's we just talked about it earlier. Like, you don't want to look too far ahead.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason I went to play college hockey, I wanted to get a degree for sure. Very thankful I finished the 4 years and got a degree. But I wanted to play pro hockey. Like, that's what I wanted to do with my time at Bowling Green. I wanted to get there and be prepared. And I kind of got that taste when I was a junior. I had a good season, and I kind of just like had that feeling like I can go do that. That's a real thing now, right? And so you go through your senior year, and I was lucky enough to be on a good team and was in the moment enough that I didn't get distracted with, I want to be a pro hockey player. I use that more as my guide each day. Like, this is what I need to do. I need to be a pro. And then it happens so quick, and you show up. And again, that you get back in a new situation. You're the new guy and a freshman, and you're the young guy, and you haven't been here. And you kind of follow the herd.
Yeah.
Which I think helped that I was older too, that I could manage myself while following the herd versus sometimes when you get younger, you just kind of follow the crowd and you kind of struggle with what you're doing too, right? So I think I was fortunate in the fact that my maturity, because I was older, I don't know how I would have handled it. Like a guy like Mason Shaw, who we both know, playing professional hockey at 19 years old. Like, I can't even, I remember myself at 19, and I can't even fathom walking into a room with men with kids and who've been playing for 12 years and at 19 and being present and ready to contribute. It's amazing. It's amazing the different paths, man. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
Like, who's ready when, and maybe being ready at 25 is better than being ready at 19. And it's interesting stuff. But, I got lucky too. I came in that first Iowa team. We stuck around the next year. They had some big time players on that team, you know? So that makes it easy too, when you get to watch guys that are dialed in every day.
Cal O'Reilly, Sam Annis,
Jerry Mayhew, Justin Cruz, Kyle Rao. Like, that team had some big time players on it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really good perspective, man. To like when you said sometimes it's better to if you're ready at 25 instead of 19. You know, it just comes back to being patient and staying in the moment. I think, and those are skills really. And if you can figure out how to kind of manage yourself, like you said, you're giving yourself a really good chance to get where you want to be. And that's really, really good perspective there. So another question I had is, obviously your role in high school, your role in Langley, at BG, with the Wild, and now with the Admirals, your role has not always been the same, right? It's probably a little bit different everywhere you go.
Right.
So kind of, I guess the question is, how do you adjust? Like when you go to a new place, you're on a new team, how do you adjust into the role that you're kind of assigned to a role at the beginning, right? How do you kind of adjust and manage that?
Yeah, I think especially when you go somewhere new, usually somebody's asked you to come there or you've chosen to go there. And people instantly have expectations for you, whether they're realistic or unrealistic or not what you want to be or what you want to be. I mean, people instantly have expectations for you. And especially for me, growing up, being one of the best players on every team that I was on and asked to play power play, penalty kills, score goals, carry the offense, you know, stuff like that. And then I get to pro, and that expectation goes to, we're going to give you 10 minutes. You're going to hit everything in sight and not get scored on. And if you chip in, that's great. Okay, that's what I'm going to do. And then you figure out like, oh, I do that well. I get a little more and a little more. And then your expectations for yourself grow. And I just think, especially in pro hockey, this is a job now. It's not like, let's go have fun. And I mean, it's fun, but this is a job. And if I try to be somebody that they don't want me to be or that I'm not able to be, I'm never going to be Cal O'Reilly and score 70 points in this league. But I can be Mitch McLain and hit everything, fight and do the dirty work and score 15 and be good on faceoffs and know my assignments, and I can stick around for 10 years in the league. I mean, that's something I think that, again, maturity and like being self-aware of what's going on around you and who you are as a player and the tools you've kind of put into your toolbox over the years as a hockey player or a baseball player or a lawyer or whatever else, right?
Mm-hmm.
The tools that you pick up and put into your game, those are things that help you sustain and then grow. But the self-awareness of what your role is and what you're really good at and what you bring, I mean, that's got to be your foundation with everything. You can't lose that trying to be something you're not, I don't think.
Yeah. And that's the good stuff right there, man. Last week when I talked with Connor Watson, we talked about, you got to start with a purpose and identity. You mentioned it, who you are, your self-awareness. Okay. And then you've got your systems. It's how you go about your work every day. And then the very last thing are your goals, right? And it's fine to have goals, but if you have goals without that foundation, there's no meaning to any of that stuff, right? And it's so much easier to live a life of, this is who I am. I'm going to try to make this version of me better. I'm not going to try to be someone that I'm not, and I tend to look at that now that I'm not playing anymore as more of a how I do things on a daily basis. But as an athlete, I mean, you really got to bring it every day. Like, as far as skills go, like as far as your contributions to the team, like you have to understand, like you said, if you're trying to go out there and score 70 goals in a season, I mean, that's just not who you are. It's not going to work, right?
No.
So I appreciate you saying that. That's something that we talk about a lot. So I don't know if you have anything else to add, but
for now that you're a coach, do you think you would have been a better player if you had the knowledge you have as a coach? Do you think you would have been a better player?
Absolutely. I mean, without a doubt. Like, things really started to click for me my last year at Luther, and that was because I took the extra time to, have conversations with people who are more mature than I was, and shoot, even up until a couple of years ago, I mean, yeah, I was coaching part-time, but now that I'm in it full time, and I've really kind of figured out how to do it, it's
right.
I can't if I could go back and start over with the knowledge that I have and the maturity that I have now, 100%. I mean, it's such an advantage. And I know we had a couple guys at Simpson over the last couple of years who over the summertime would coach, whether it be little league or high school, middle school, whatever. I mean, they specifically one guy, his name is Josh Breitbarth. He's a fantastic human being. He came back and guy had never hit a home run in his life before. He had 7 his senior year, and he was just one of our, the guy that if he was on the field, everybody just felt like better about things. You know what I mean? And I really do believe that experience absolutely would encourage guys who are still playing to coach. And I guess this is a good segue now for you. I wanted to talk a little bit about your hockey academy up in Minnesota. I guess at what point did it really become a reality? I mean, I know like everybody's got an idea that they want to do something. Yeah. But when did you kind of start to put that plan into action?
Yeah. So, I mean, that's kind of the reason I asked you is when our season got cut from COVID, and then we were off for 8 months, I think, or 7 months of no hockey at all. I mean, we didn't go back till the next January. We didn't even start playing till February.
Yeah.
And so during the winter, youth sports were going on in Brainerd. Well, I wanted to be on the ice, and and I wanted to help, and I was able to go back and help do some skill stuff and just be on the ice with the kids and kind of goof around with them and kind of see where Brainerd hockey was at as far as the skill and the mentality and what they were teaching and stuff like that. And sat down with a buddy of ours, Zach Holman, had talked to Joey Frazier and Chris Polkamp, who we were coaching the high school girls with full time. And then we added Cole Smith into that group, another Brainerd guy. And we just said, we got to do it now. If we're going to do it, we can't do it when we're 40. We got to do it when we can relate to these kids and we can give them our energy. You know, when you have other stuff going on, it's like, it's no excuse, but when you have a family and you have a house and car and other things going on, when you have life going on, it's hard to be at the rink 6 hours a day coaching. Like it just is. It's not realistic. And none of us have any of that for the most part,
Right.
And we're just in our careers. Joey's coaching the Medicine Hat Tigers right now. I mean, he's the top of the coaching food chain. And we got a guy in Cole Smith who's played in the NHL, and myself in the American Hockey League, and Chris Polkamp's in Europe. And it was the right opportunity to give as much back as we could. And I don't know why. I don't know. I just took the lead with it and said, okay, I'm going to start doing this and get all this backstory going. And I had a business guy help me figure it out. And we talked about it. And then I was just like, you know what, we're doing it. We're going to take the risk. And if it stinks, we'll do it 1 year. And if it's really good, hopefully we do it a bunch of years. But it turned out really good. So
good. Absolutely. Definitely something that maybe some people will hear this if they haven't heard of your academy. Definitely worth looking into, the Lakes Hockey Academy. You guys have a social media page for that and everything, I believe.
We're on all the socials. So
okay. Excellent.
Yeah, that's why I asked you. I wanted to know because when I was helping coach these kids, all you ever hear is, oh, the coach is telling you what to do.
Yeah.
But then you are in that role and the game's so easy. It looks so easy when you're coaching or watching, right? It looks so easy. And then when you're playing, it's going a million miles an hour and you're thinking this, and then other things happen. And I really started to understand what people had been asking me, or that they see it a different way. Not that my way was wrong or right or whatever, but that there's other ways to do things, or their ideas. You know, they're not barking at me. They're coaching me.
Yeah.
And I think I've always been a coachable guy, but even coaching and like trying to explain yourself for the way I see it or what's going on, and then being able to relate to somebody who goes, I don't get it. This is what I was doing. I don't get what you're asking me to do. I think it's no coincidence that after I've done that, I'm having my best pro career or best pro season right now. I think coaching helped me be a better player, and that's why I asked you that.
Yeah, really good question. Didn't see it coming, so thanks for keeping me on my toes. But
curveball.
Yeah. No, man. I mean, you nailed it. Like, it's just a different perspective, and that's what it's all about. You know, the more that you're open to, like, if you can open yourself up to even if somebody you might not agree with, like, get some different perspective on things, it's only going to make you that much better. And that's, you know, some of these college baseball programs, like, I'm in my first year. You know, the guys that are sophomores, they had a different pitching coach last year, and the year before that there was a different pitching coach. So, like, trying to, you know, help them understand that I'm not here just to, you know, take the next step on the ladder. Like, I'm actually here because I want to not make you guys better, help you guys get better. You know, I want to give you the tools to be successful. I kind of got away from the point there, but I think it can be tough, you know, if it's just constantly a cycle of different people coming through. Some continuity as a college athlete, it's really beneficial. I just wanted to touch on that. I kind of got away
Well,
from the point
especially
there.
you. So you're starting to
Yeah.
build relationships with these guys, and you're starting to learn their game in the way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna talk like I know baseball, but
Yeah,
like
that's perfect.
their delivery, and maybe his slider slides different, stuff like
Yeah.
that, and his throwing mechanics are different, or he comes down hard over the top, or he's more of a side. You're starting to learn that from them. They know what they think works.
Mm-hmm.
You can help them get better, suggest other things, or instead of this is how we're doing it, it's a conversation. Like you said, like we're going to get better together. This is the way I'm seeing it. I would like you to try this. If it's uncomfortable, tell me why you think it's this or what, blah, blah, or you're struggling with this. And I think that's, as a guy who played and who's a young guy, I think from a player's perspective, your players will appreciate you meeting them halfway on that. At the
Yeah.
end of the day, you're still the coach and they're still the player.
Yeah.
But hey, like, what's going to make our bullpen the best? What do you guys like? What don't you like? And tell
Yeah.
me why.
Yeah.
If you don't
Yeah.
like running outfield poles, tell me why.
Oh man, yeah.
It's
No,
because I
and
can't
that's
think of anything else to do right now. We're gonna run them, But no,
I'd be, yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
it's all about that relationship piece, and I think I envy is probably not the right word. I'm excited for you because I want to be there too someday. I want to coach, and I want to be involved in doing that when I'm done playing. And I'm excited for you because I know how much you love it,
Mm-hmm.
and I also know how much you've noticed that sometimes you need to take a step back and listen. Not that you didn't do it before, but how important it is to not just, hey, this is my way and this is the way we're doing it.
Yeah.
No, we're going to find a way that works best for us, and that's what we're going to do, and we're going to go through with that. And if we need to change it and click it a different way, we're going to do that.
Yeah.
And so I'm really excited for you. I like hearing all your stuff. It's exciting, man. It's cool.
Well, thank you. Yeah, thank you. And thanks for giving us your time. I just have a couple more questions. Pretty broad, really. So do with these what you feel. The first one is, and we've touched on this a little bit, but really, what is leadership to you? What does that mean?
I think if you were to take someone out of a situation, off a team, out of a day-to-day cycle, and things fell apart, I think that person would be a leader. I think when people notice something's off because someone's not there, I think that person's a leader, and that can be in many different things. So a leader is someone who keeps it stable, right? Who brings it every day, who has there no matter what, who is the foundation of what's going on around you and buys into the culture that everyone's trying to do. Because if you have a guy who influences the room and the coaches are over here and he doesn't agree with the coaches, well, that room's going to go split right down the middle, or it's going to go completely that way.
Yeah.
I think when you have a well-oiled machine and if you removed that person and things would go sideways, I think that's the definition of being a leader. I feel like when you're just a guy that you can get replaced, like you're out and people don't notice, I think that is like the self-awareness that you need to learn, like, hey, I need to bring something.
Yeah. And it's kind of sometimes you don't really know what you have until it's not there.
Correct.
And I've been parts of teams like that before. It's just kind of the nature of things. You have to challenge yourself to really appreciate what you have. And you mentioned the term buy-in, and that's great. I was talking to my college baseball coach around Thanksgiving time. He said, we never really talked about buy-in, but we didn't have to. Like we were just a bunch of guys who loved each other, who loved playing baseball, and who were good at playing baseball. And I think how he explained it to me was, it was his second year with the program that we went to the NCAA tournament, and he's like, yeah, you guys just, I came in and you trusted me just like you've known me for years, and just to really stick with the process, even though you're not sure what result you're going to get. It's just, it's, you got to have faith and stuff like that. So
it's funny. It's easy when things are good. It's easy to buy in, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
When things start going sideways and people are struggling and you're just chasing your tail, you're working, you're not seeing results, it's easy to kind of go, oh, I'm not going to buy into this. This isn't working. Well, it's like cough syrup, right? You have a cough and a cold and you take it that first day, it tastes awful. But you take it for 8 days in a row, you stop coughing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something I've noticed too. Whether the game plan in your brain that the coach has or the rules or something else is completely just, you don't agree.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you're not getting the results, but yet you're all of a sudden you buy into the game plan. Okay, we're going to buy in whether we fail or not. We're buying in. We're going to do it. Mm-hmm. Generally, you kind of work yourself out of whatever pickle you're in.
Yeah.
It's when you get pockets of not buying in is when the buy-in doesn't work.
And it doesn't take much. It could be one guy. It could be. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't take much. So
even if the game plan stinks and 20 guys are like, "Okay, we're buying into it, and we're gonna." Yeah. Honestly, I feel like you find success still. You do.
Absolutely.
It might take a little bit, but I still feel like even if you think the game plan's a joke, and you're thinking whatever, if 20 guys are like, "We're gonna do the game plan, we're gonna buzz, and we're just gonna work," I think you come out on top more times than you don't. I really do.
Yeah. I agree with you 100%. That's awesome. So the next question, there's two more questions. So bear with me here. Your fourth year as a pro, outside of, obviously you moved from Des Moines to Milwaukee. What's changed? Like, obviously we've talked about like your perspective on things have changed a little bit with the coaching experience. But I guess just kind of a general question, what's changed for you and your outlook on being a pro hockey player?
I think it's interesting. Just turned 28 years old the other day.
Happy belated birthday, by the way.
Appreciate it. Not a young man anymore, but
right.
Still a young man. But when I was in Des Moines, I started to be the old guy on the team, right? I had been there a few years, kind of working my way through whatever role I wanted to exceed or gain more of a role in. And I definitely think if you ask my teammates when I was in Iowa that last year, they would say I was definitely a leader on the team and someone that was steering the ship, And I think when that part of my pro hockey experience ended and I knew it was ending and somebody new wanted me, one was a fresh start, and two is going to be that uncomfortable feeling again where I'm the new guy. I think when you get comfortable, I think being comfortable is good. I do think it's good, but I do think that being uncomfortable is a good challenge and can help you grow a lot. I really do. So I was comfortable in Des Moines, knew how to get through practice every day. Bad term, right? Get through it. I knew how to do that. I knew how to manage my sleep schedule. I knew what to do, where to eat. It was comfortable. It was home. I was there for 4 years. I knew where to find you if I needed you, and now I'm in a new place that I've never been, never lived, had to find a new apartment, new living situation, meet a bunch of new people, learn a new system. And that made me feel really young. And that energized me to kind of impress some fresh eyes.
It keeps you sharp, right? I mean,
it does. It does. Because not that I was complacent. I worked hard every day in Iowa and whatever else, but there's that's different feeling when you go to Nashville Predators training camp and nobody, not a coach, not whatever. And you're the new guy. And it's just like, well, here we go. Like,
Good luck.
yeah, good luck. Let's see what we can do. But it really energized me to have a fresh start. It really did. And I love Des Moines.
Awesome to hear.
I wasn't dreading Des Moines. I didn't think I needed a fresh start, right? But then all of a sudden the fresh start came to me for whatever reason, and it perked me up. It did.
Yeah.
It really
Awesome.
did.
Yeah, and you know, we've talked before about kind of battling through adverse situations, right? And in your situation, it was a little bit of adversity, like you said, because you had kind of made a home for yourself, and you felt like you were a leader on that team. But you know, adversity builds stronger men, right? Like there's some kind of saying similar to that. But it all ties together, you know, that challenge makes you feel young again. It keeps you sharp. It challenges you. And I'm a big believer that, you know, you just gotta roll with the punches. If you're being challenged, you gotta believe that it's going to be good for you down the road. And having that perspective, and all the while staying in the moment and just getting through it, you know, whether that's hockey, baseball, or whether that's your personal life, you know, like just stuff happens.
That's the one thing I've always thought, like, and people are going to go, oh, listen, these two Brainerd guys, but and I mean, it's different for everyone, but I've always felt like you can get into just that constant cycle, like back home, like if, you know, or anywhere you are, in Des Moines. If I would have played in Des Moines for 10 years, would I have experienced all I could?
Not
you know?
Chance. Yeah.
And would I have grown? Am I going to grow more because I had to find a new place and live in a city where I'm parking my truck in an underground garage, which isn't me at all. That's not me. But am I going to grow because I had that experience and that challenge of going somewhere new and meeting new people and managing my life a different way? I just think it's so important, especially when you're young, because there's just minimal risk.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I'm getting on my soapbox here, but man, like, if I could give advice to younger people, like, do some uncomfortable things, you know, just take a risk and do some uncomfortable things. Go work a job in California on the beach and just enjoy it for a summer, you know, just like things like that. I've always thought about being able to do that, since I never can, because I always training and stuff. That's just like the one piece of advice I would give. Like, just challenge yourself to be uncomfortable in a situation and then make it through. Like, just find a way to just fall in love with it.
That's fantastic, man. And you know, it just came to me because I'm wearing this hat, a Coeur d'Alene hat. So I really
beautiful place.
And so what you just said kind of reminds me, you know, my brother who just decided, you know, after 3 years of bartending and you know, saving up some money at Zorba's, like he just moved out there, like, you know, just because he felt like it, I guess. And now I believe he's back home now, but I mean, he's out there for over a year, you know, and that's one of those things that I was just like, okay, that's impressive, you know, like that inspires me to continue to challenge myself and do uncomfortable things, you know, and continue to grow. But experiences like that, I agree with you. You might not know it in the moment, but a couple of years later down the line, you're gonna be like, okay, well, I'm glad it happened that way, you know.
Well, that one time in Coeur d'Alene, you know, like, for sure. No, that's just the way I see it. It's not right or wrong, you know. It's just something I think people should do.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's fantastic. Last question, another broad one. We've talked a little bit about developing identities, staying present, things like that. The question is, what keeps you going? You know, in your fourth year, you're at the level that you've been at for the past 3. What keeps you going?
Well, you've known me a long time, and I don't like to lose much. at things, and they could be bags, it could be just a bachelor party golf tournament.
Yeah.
You know, I don't like to lose, and not playing for that 7-8 months over that COVID stretch.
Mm-hmm.
Coaching was my fix for competing a little bit.
Yeah.
But I just knew, like, that was my first taste of if I was done playing, what would I be doing? And it made me go, yeah, I need to be playing because this is what I love to do every
I
single
bet
day.
that wasn't an uncomfortable feeling, wasn't it?
Oh,
To not be
I
able
was
to
like,
play.
man, I'm not ready to be a teacher. I'm not ready to be a coach full time. I'm not ready to 9 to 5. This isn't me.
Yeah.
You know, I absolutely love going to the rink every day, and I love competing. And I mean, for people that have been on a team or in a locker room or in an office that just clicks, being around the guys and the staff and those people every single day is just an absolute joy. Like, you don't have many bad days. You truly don't. I'm blessed to say that I don't know if I've had a bad day. I've had hard days, but I don't know if I've had a bad day being a hockey player.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that's super cool. And that's what keeps me going. Like, I absolutely love doing this. And it's so corny. And people are like, oh, man, it's just a classic answer. I do. I absolutely love it. If I didn't love it, in the summer when I get back, it's like, oh, you should take time off, take time off. It's like, dude, I can't take time off. I got to go to the gym because I'm going to be a slug. I can't sit around and do nothing. I love doing this. I love going on the ice and skating and shooting and just, even if I'm out there alone, I don't dread doing that, you know? So, I mean, that's what keeps me going. And I still got to get to the NHL, man.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, I still got to do it. 5-year-old me would be like, if I had that mindset where I was not going to make it, 5-year-old me would be like, you're a clown, man. You're going to make it. You know, I always say that to myself. What would 5-year-old me say? The kid that got up at 6 a.m., put on his gear for practice that was at noon, like, just ready to go 6 hours early. That kid loved hockey, man. Like, don't let him down. Don't let him down.
Yeah. Man, that's awesome. Just to hear you talk about how you really just love doing what you're doing, like showing up every day with a sense of gratitude, a sense of purpose, you know, kind of spreading that throughout the room, like getting other people around you to feel that and make everybody else better. You know, we didn't really talk much about, you know, serving our teammates or serving the people around us, but it's easy to tell that you're a guy who, like you said, it comes naturally, you know, and that's the best part about it is, yeah, you want to achieve your goal of making it to the NHL, but you understand the best way to do that is to enjoy it and to really try to make everybody else better. You know, being selfless ultimately selfishly helps you reach your goals. I really do believe in that. And it just some dynamite stuff, man. It's that's all I had. If there's anything else that you want to add, maybe, you know, your social media stuff so people can follow along your hockey academy. But yeah, that's all I had. So
yeah, I'll share the pod and post on that stuff and try to get it out there. But I mean, the other thing too that, I mean, we could easily say it over a couple drinks or something one time, but how important having you in Des Moines was for me. So a guy going to a new city, new team, and I had a guy I grew up with and one of my best friends living there already, having a life, establishing himself. That away from hockey support and foundation and trust, and man, I can't express how awesome it was to have you around for the 4 years I was there. I just can't. It was great. And I think we both went through hard things there.
Yeah.
And we had each other through it. And I think my love's a little tougher at times. But I also think you gave me tough love back because you knew that's kind of how I was. And we challenged each other, and it was fun to be people and share it over hockey in baseball and stuff like that. And
Mm-hmm.
so I just want to thank you for being in the right place at the right time and being a good friend all these years, and how much I appreciated our time together and our future still.
Yeah, yes, sir. If you ever want to come back, let me know.
Holy, we got
I got a
weddings and all kinds of
spare
stuff going
bedroom
on.
for you. Yeah. Man,
But yeah, absolutely loved it, man.
awesome. But I mean, it goes both ways. You know, you continue to be a role model for me. You know, even though I'm 7 days older than you. but really, no, your friendship and what you're doing. I mean, everything. It just keeps me going as well. You know, let's just keep feeding each other. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's awesome stuff. Really awesome. So I really do thank you for your time, though. Hope you enjoyed your day off, because I know you don't get many. But,
yeah, it's good. Love it.
Awesome, man. Well, yeah, hopefully we'll have this up tomorrow morning, and I'll send it to you first. So we'll be on our way.
I'll check it out. See if I have to veto it.
All right, man. Well, that was an hour well spent. So thanks for your time again, and you know, we'll talk soon, I'm sure.
Yeah. Thanks, Coach. Appreciate
All right,
you.
man. All right, man. We'll see you.